Day 2 of our event is going to start off here with Muffins versus Kixie, and Heck had a little bit of an issue in the first couple matches of this game, losing a little bit of time. Kixie was getting slightly favorable positions, but overall, time was the real factor. So we'll see if Heck can win here. Unfortunately, Heck is already off to one of the worst possible starts in chess, and Kixie has the opportunity on move 2 to checkmate her opponent. I am not making this up. This happened in game 3 of this tournament game. But of course, Kixie misses it and plays 2 pawns in the center, and now we have d3. d3 actually prevents this mate because the king is an open square, but it's still completely winning if black sees it. Black decides to go for a check on the other side of the board with the bishop, and the king does walk out. This is already super, super bad for Muffins. So Kixie continues to develop, pushes her queen up. We have a3. Kicking the bishop out, and another check in the center, which is blocked by a pawn. But now pawn d4. Kixie trying to make things complicated and be aggressive early against Heck. I like this a lot, but if you just play e4 here, there's no more problems for white, and white can just develop normally. Instead of this, white plays pawn b4, attacking the bishop again, which also isn't terrible, but now pawn takes in the center. Bishop can take that, which is what Heck does, and now bishop d4. Also an interesting idea, because now if you take, you can come in with the queen and take. Likely thinking here from Kixie, so white decides to make things more complicated by pushing the pawn. Now here Kixie makes a fatal error, and instead of moving the bishop or trading, she plays c5 to reinforce the bishop again, and unfortunately for her, fortunately for Heck picks up a full piece, and this is an insanely good advantage for Heck, who has the chance to get back into this match now. Bishop f4, pawn here, Heck takes a pawn, pawns are exchanged, queen c1, white has a completely dominating position. This king looks so goofy, but white's just up a piece, and it's challenging for black to attack this king in any case, because it's actually pretty safe behind this kind of little barricade over here on this side of the board. You could try to break it apart, but white will be able to activate all their pieces and be able to play this position. And black's king also is not super safe in the center either. So you got to be a little bit careful as black developing pieces. Queen takes on c5, and now queen d5. Queen d5, Kixie is scared here. You can tell, and she's trying to make piece exchanges. White can take, but white can also take this bishop, which is devastating. It is lethal for white if they find this, but Heck doesn't do either of those. Plays a little more passively, queen c2. Okay, I don't hate it. White's still winning. Bishop on the long diagonal. Bishop to c7. Now this is a little bit of a step in the wrong direction, because black can just castle and be totally fine. You can maybe even try to pin the bishop to the queen if things go the wrong way, and black actually does castle, finding one of the best moves here. Rook c8 is potentially coming. You have to be very careful here not to lose your bishop, as black can lose your advantage. So queen e2. Okay, not so bad. Knight comes out. Pawn g5. Attacking this knight. But oh no, that's just a free pawn. That's a free pawn, and it makes your king so weak. Look at how weak this king is over here. But instead, knight h5, and now rook a2. And now engine is saying rook a e8, and this pressure down the center is just going to be too much for white to handle with the way white's weaknesses are around their king. But that's not what it's played, and instead it's queen e5, and now white needs to play not queen takes, but bishop takes, and white is just up a full queen, but Heck misses it. Heck misses it, and now queen takes c7. You guys win the bishop. It's a free bishop. Oh my gosh. And Heck takes it, and now Heck says, oh no, I actually moved my rook to the wrong square. I didn't want my rook here. I wanted it on b2, and moves it a second time. Kixie is now no longer down material. Material is equal, and if anything, the engine evaluates this position as completely winning because of how safe black's king is comparison to white's king, and white will never be able to get this material into the game. How is white going to develop their pieces? Rook e8, great move by black, and look at this, wedging the rook into the position. Maybe going to double up here. This could be really nice for Kixie, playing some very high level ideas. Rook defended by the pawn, just such a nuisance for white here. We have h3, but h3 is so bad because now this square is freed up and the queen can come here, and it's mate in one for Kixie. Another mate in one opportunity, but she misses it a second time. Now she still makes a great move here, doubling up the rooks, but she's missing out on some opportunities that she might not get again. She will get it again though, because a4, and now there's another opportunity for mate in one. But bishop takes, bishop takes, bishop takes. Now knight goes here, and knight is blocking the path of the queen now. It's still good for black, but black doesn't have checkmating opportunities anymore. White has a chance to consolidate and get some pieces into the game. Rook b3, knight comes into the center, but oh no! Kixie hangs her queen. You can see it in her eyes as she's playing this game. She completely hangs her queen, but we have to be careful because look at the time. Heck is completely winning on the board, but is just one blunder away from the game slipping out of her hands again. And she has 3 minutes to convert a game and checkmate in a position where she hasn't been able to checkmate so far in this event yet. So can she do it? Knight takes d3, rook takes d3, knight takes d3. Oh my God. Kixie's rooks are dominating. Now, this is a very difficult position to win as a newer player, even though you're up a full queen here, because of Kixie's very dominant rooks. You have to get this remaining material out into the game. This knight is stuck and the rook is stuck behind the pawns. You have to figure out a way to get your pieces out. We have a check and Kixie being super annoying. Look at this armada of pieces on the side of the board. We have queen coming back to the first rank. Knight coming back up, just making complications. A minute 20 on the clock for Heck. Kixie is completely losing, but Heck can't figure out her game plan here. It's very complex. She has no idea what to do. Look at all of her pieces on the back rank. None of them have moved yet. We have rook e1, making some more complications. Queen goes here, rook comes to e3. Oh my gosh. Ooh, the knight is hanging. Now Kixie's only down a rook for a queen. Okay, king slides up here, but this is maybe a mistake. If black can find the move h6 here to try and rip everything open on white's side of the field, but we have takes, and this, my friends, is a critical mistake because for the first time in the whole match, white, Heck Muffins, has mate in one with the queen. But with 40 seconds on the clock, will she find it? She does not, because after 8 seconds, she takes the knight, not only taking the knight, but blundering her queen. And now, with just 30 seconds, she needs to find a way not to lose. We have pawn a5, pawn h6 finally. Some trades here. Kixie picks up the knight on b1, and then king g4, 0.4 seconds on the clock, and in this position, Kixie wins on time for the third game in a row and wins this match. The next match I want to show you between Wolf and Evil Space Bunny. Take a look, by the way. We're not going to look at this game, but this is the resulting position from the first game. Wolf with white had an amazingly dominating position, but it wound up being a draw because ESB outplayed him on time. The king for ESB on the center of the board, and actually it would have been a win for ESB if in the last few moves, Wolf-Eye didn't pick up ESB's last pawns with 18 seconds on the clock, and Wolf didn't even know this, but he managed to pick up ESB's last 2 pawns so that it was actually a draw by timeout versus insufficient material rather than a complete loss for white. Thankfully doing that. Anyhow, we're moving into our second game here between these two players. This match was an absolute roller coaster, and you're going to see why in just a moment here. Very interestingly, Evil Space Bunny does what a lot of players in this tournament have been doing, is moving these unusual like B and G pawns. A lot of players are doing this, and I'm telling you, as a seasoned chess player, this is not the way. Do not play moves like B4, G4, or alternately with black, G5 and B5 on your first moves. You get these very bad positions from these types of moves. And these are some of the worst moves you can make to open up because these pawns are just very weak here. These pawns are just very weak, and it makes a lot more sense to play like B3 or G3 here. We have some introductory moves here from both players, and white already is hanging some pawns. This pawn's already undefended and able to be taken. And black does decide to take this pawn here. We have bishop A3, and now black already as early as move 6, sacrificing a knight. The knight's already captured. Not only does black sacrifice 1 knight, but black sacrifices a second knight, and off rip, black is down 2 knights at the beginning of this game, and Evil Space Bunny has a completely winning position. But can she convert this? Because her pieces are also a little bit displaced here. Okay, things are a little bit maybe not so much where they should be. So we have Wolf-Eye attacking with his kingside pawns, bishop fianchettoing, and bishop takes the pawn in the center. Very nice. Look at this pressure here. White's still winning, but white needs to find the right moves, and knight takes g5 is not the right move because now black can take this and is completely winning after taking the rook. But black takes this rook, and white is totally fine here after this very difficult to find king f1, but instead we have this, and black just gets out like a bandit. Wolf just sacrificed 2 pieces, but is able to win a rook back, and now is completely winning. And honestly, thank God this bishop's here, because otherwise there'd be some checks, maybe picking up a pawn. You'd have control of this file. This could be very bad. Knight e4, attacking the bishop, and actually taking this bishop is super good for white, because after something like takes, you actually can put your bishop over in here. And it's very, very annoying for black's position. But instead we have knight back. Black picks up a pawn. White's king is very weak here. Black can play moves that are developing, just like b6, trying to get the bishop out and trying to get other pieces into the game. We have d5. Okay, d5 is fine. Getting this bishop out. Piece trades, probably a little bit better for black because of how awkward white's position is here, even if the bishop were to take. But Evil Space Bunny doesn't want to trade pieces, and that's fine. I respect that decision. But now we have a5, being aggressive here. And what we're going to notice is black is going to start making attacks with these open files. We're going to have this rook coming to this file. We're going to have this rook with this pawn pushing behind it, starting to apply pressure. And evil space bunny is restricted here. She doesn't have very much space to work with, and she only has a few pawns left. Her king's very weak in the center of the board, and she plays this very, very ugly looking move, e4, completely weakening her king. But Wolf ignores it. Now white could play e5, white could take, and instead of any of that, white just plays g4, because why not? Why not just throw all your pawns up the board? It doesn't matter. Rook takes, rook over here, and now d4, actually a very nice idea from Wolf. This pawn is now a passed pawn and a very annoying pawn for white to deal with, defended by quite a couple pieces here, and you can keep pushing forward if you'd like to. Knight back attacking the rook, rook slides over. Now engine claims is equal after this weird move, bishop f3, that I don't even really understand, but okay, no one's actually gonna be playing that. Knight here, and now we have rook takes c4 with check, and actually Wolf-eyed does find... Never mind. Wolf-eyed does not take. Instead, Wolf blunders his rook. Instead of taking the pawn on e4, we have b5. The queen takes rook. Now, thankfully, black is actually able to take the bishop back. The best move here was not even to take the rook. It was to take on c6 with check. And then you're winning this rook, applying pressure here. This bishop might be very strong. Instead of that, we have this exchange here, and now black's winning again. Look at white's pieces confined to this side of the board. White's pieces are playing on a quarter of the board, and white's king has no shelter, and all the pieces are stuck in the corner. Wolf is only up 2 points of material, but his position is dominating. We have knight takes pawn. And now it's even worse. It's even worse for white because black's going to pick up the rook. But Wolf doesn't see it. Check on b2. The king is still so weak, but things might be able to shape up if black just plays a few slow moves here. White can crawl back into this game. We have knight here pressuring the bishop. There are always these checks looming. Wolf is missing them. Bishop slides back. Knight comes in. Okay, now white's posing problems. But black is faster with things again like check. If only you can see that, because the king cannot come up this way because of this really annoying light square bishop that hasn't moved since the start of the game, but is doing so much work. Queen c3 forces the king back out into this very annoying position, but we don't have that from Wolf. Instead, we're pushing the pawn, but look at the evaluation spike. Because now there is this leading to almost a forced mate very soon after maybe picking up the bishop and getting into the position. This is lethal for white if she sees it, but ESB instead takes the pawn, and now black is completely winning. Black just needs to go for some check here, and it's completely winning, but black just keeps marching the pawn forward. Wolf is set on making a second queen, and white goes knight f5. Knight f5 is actually a very nice move. You're threatening this. We might be able to set up some checkmate threats very soon. This could be very good for white, but black just has these very good checks. Instead, though, black makes a queen. Still a great move. White has to sacrifice the rook. Black recaptures. And ESB, to her credit, finds the best move here. Knight takes on g7. Very nice. Checking the king. Black is up material, but black's king is very loose here. The king cannot go over there. If the king goes over here, which you can do, there's just a lot of infiltration opportunities. There might be some discoveries with the queen. Things could get a little bit dicey. Black does go over here, and now queen h6, a nice move, but unfortunately, there is rook a3 check, and there is nothing white can do about it. But Wolf does not play it. Wolf instead plays f6 and immediately loses on the spot. It is mate in 4 if ESB finds the right idea, but she does not. She plays e5, and now it's plus 25. You just have to come in and check. Any of these. It's completely crushing for black. Black is dominating, but black doesn't do either of those. Not only does black not do either of those, but black cuts off their opportunity. Black seals the door so they cannot let any of their other pieces participate in this attack, and now white is winning if she finds the right move, but white does not find the right move. Instead, white blunders, queen takes on f6 check, forcing a queen trade into a completely winning endgame for black. Because after something like takes, now this knight is under fire, and we're threatening to promote with our pawn. We have a passed pawn here, a passed pawn here. It's just too much for white to deal with. White has an extra piece, but it will not be enough to stop all of these pawns from moving forward. But instead of that, we have d2, and now there is mate in 2 on the board. If exactly F takes on e7, and evil space bunny gets there. F takes, king slides up, mate in one. ESB shocked at herself, I'm pretty sure, for even checkmating. I think she just wanted to make a queen and promotes to a queen, and it accidentally comes with checkmate. Very nice win by ESB, which leads us into our final game, and we're going to end off on a good one. Mind you, in game one, we had a draw between these two players. This was the final position. And the craziest thing about this position is Nicole, who's playing black, was down to 10 seconds on the clock with Violet up 18 points of material, collecting the final few pawns and backing Nicole's king into a corner. But on move 38, Nicole gets a stalemate. The king has no legal moves and picks up a draw for game one. This was absolutely incredible. But Violet showed a lot of skill in that game, and she's going to try to transfer that into the second game, and we'll see if she can actually pick up a win here. We have e4, e5 from the players, and d4 challenging the center. Black is going to play knight c6. That's what Violet's going to do, and white could have actually attacked that knight right away, but instead goes for this idea, and now black is winning if you just take the pawn in the center. But we take with the knight, and take with the knight's still totally fine too. That just picks up a free pawn for black. b4, though, is a little bit of a mistake. It's a step in the wrong direction for Nicole because the bishop can take that. And again, players, do not move these two pawns up early. It is not advised. I do not recommend it until you're a lot better at chess. I honestly don't recommend it at all, but it's just a free pawn. Violet doesn't take it. So Nicole's in the clear now. Nicole is not punished for this error of her ways, and the knights are going to do a little dance in the center of the board before we have f3, solidifying this little connect 3 with the knight here. Also, mind you, that this knight's just hanging. This knight's just actually a free knight. Violet just hung her knight, but it's going to sit there for a little while because we're going to have knight f6. Bishop g5, a very nice move from Nicole, pinning the knight and applying more pressure to it. Very good idea. Violet decides to kick it out right away, which is a great idea from her. So we have takes, and unfortunately, Nicole is going to blunder a piece here, and Violet's going to pick up the bishop. Now this knight's still hanging, mind you, so if Nicole wants, at some given point, she can take it, and she misses it. Violet has a chance to save her knight, but she doesn't, instead playing b6 with the idea to maybe bring the bishop out this way, and now Nicole sees it and snatches up the knight. The game is completely equal, and instead of blocking with the bishop, Violet moves her king out of the way. Okay, c4, a6, attacking the bishop. Nicole needs to do something. She could play bishop c6, which would be a super obnoxious move, threatening the rook, and the bishop is just on a very strong square here, but instead of that, she misses it and plays rook f1. Oh no. But Violet misses it too. However, this is a threat. This is a threat. There's a lot going on here that's being threatened in white's position. White needs to address this. So white just takes the pawn. White just takes the pawn, hangs the bishop. No big deal. Black picks up that bishop. And now we attack the rook. Violet sees that. Violet, very good intuition here, noticing these things. g3. Now the pawn isn't hanging, but the knight is hanging, and that is just a free knight. Violet does not see it, and I don't blame her. Picking up another free piece, which is nice. Picking up the free pawn. Very respectable decision here. We have f4, but it's tough here. You don't want to challenge the center when your king is stuck here, especially when you're down material like this. And at this point, we have takes with check. Ooh, by playing f3, Nicole weakened her position so much. She weakened that pawn in the center, which is already being targeted by two things, which she missed. And Violet sees very good vision by this player, Violet Knights, who's looking very sharp in this game. And now there's unfortunately a queen that will get laser beamed down this d file if Violet sees it, and she does. Violet sees it. She picks up the queen for rook. And unfortunately here again, Nicole needed to play king c2 because the rook is just hanging, and Violet takes it, and she can win the second rook, but she doesn't. She doesn't win the second rook. Interesting, but it's okay. She's completely winning. Or is she? Queen a1. Violet throws her queen away. Oh no. Violet somehow didn't see that this row was covered by the rook, and now black is only up a bishop. That's not true. Black's also up a couple pawns. Black still has a completely winning position. White can try to play for something here. Remember, these players are both very low rated. Anything can happen. And f5, Nicole, very smart, not trading pieces, just pushing her pawns forward. Very nice. c6, you could take this with your pawn. Interestingly, Nicole does not, so Violet's able to pick up a pawn. Okay, but these are weaknesses now. Maybe white can target them. White instead goes knight in the center. Now black should probably take this. The more pieces that are out of the game, the easier it is for Violet to win. Nicole only has 3.5 minutes on a clock. Violet has a huge time advantage and an advantage on the board. But instead we have bishop c6, maybe trying to defend this pawn. Rook comes down here with a check, but oh no, that square was covered by the bishop. But Violet misses it. Violet misses it. Nicole is able to get away with this. And now, oh my god, 2 pieces are hanging. It's definitely better to take the rook here, but instead Violet takes the knight. The rook is able to get in with a check. It doesn't really threaten anything. The king is threatening to take the rook. The rook goes back. Okay, free bishop. Will Nicole see it? She does. She picks up a bishop. She's maybe getting back into the game. These pawns are under fire. We have rook here. Check, but that check doesn't do anything. The bishop can just take this. It doesn't actually work, unfortunately. So bishop takes g4, rook slides over, and now we have king slides over. Pawn up, discovered check on white's king. And Violet just has so many passed pawns. She just has an army of pawns that can march up the board. Black's going to defend her weaknesses. We have a check here, and oh no, Nicole blunders the rook. Nicole blunders the rook, but she diverts Violet's attention to the other side of the board because instead of taking, Violet takes the pawn. Oh my god, she's getting away with it. She's getting away with all this. White can take this, but white goes back. Okay, the rook is safe. Rook b7. She's throwing away all her pawns. White's just throwing away all her pawns. Look at all these extra pawns for black. Oh my goodness. Rook here attacking this pawn, but the king can just defend it super easily, and king's gonna march up. You gotta move your rook out of the way. Rook back, but oh no. The rook is not long for this world, but Violet misses it. Violet misses that it's hanging. Check here. She goes back. She gives Violet another opportunity to take the rook, and Violet says, okay, I'll take it this time. And with only 36 seconds left, we have a few more checks and some pawn pushes. And wow, we don't even have any pawn pushes. We just have a few checks and a few king shuffles because Violet knows that her opponent is low on time. Violet unfortunately wasn't able to convert with a checkmate in most of these games. She might have gotten one in the last game, but she does pick up 2 wins and 2 draws against Nicole for a record of 3-1. And Violet moves on to the next round of the tournament. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, definitely consider subscribing for more tournament recaps. You also can watch this event live on Twitch on my channel. There will be a link below if you want to check it out. I appreciate it. Hope you learned something for it. I want to make these entertaining, but also educational and informative for you guys. Either way, thanks for being here today, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good one, guys.